Howdy, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jake. I am your host. This is the Talks and Crocs podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in and or listening. If you're watching on the YouTube or Rumble, you'll see one of our co-hosts, I guess, is my wife, Shaunie. And then our other two co-hosts are on the line, Chris and Stacy. How are y'all doing over there?
Good.
Great.
Seems like, there's a better connection compared to the last time we did a call in for the podcast with Chris's connection, wherever he was. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Secret remote location.
Yeah, we are currently recording. I have everything set up in my wife's and my home. Chris and Stacy are at their new place, and I hope it's going awesome there.
We're doing good. We're getting unpacked. You still have a bunch to unpack, but the living room is livable, the bedroom's livable. We can, cook in the kitchen now, so.
Oh, good.
That took a few days.
Yeah, it always does.
Honestly, I think we still have stuff in our garage that is not unpacked from when we moved here almost 8 years ago.
I think at this point it's fair to just throw it away.
I'm good with that. That or go through it and make sure there's nothing valuable in there first before we just toss it and burn it or something.
I don't think we would have left it in the garage if it was valuable.
Okay, question, Shaunie. With my mind,
With your
how I forget things.
Well, I think the only thing of semi-value out there probably would have been the Xbox, and that's not worth anything now.
Yeah, the 360.
Oh.
The only thing that's worth is memories.
I'll say I'd hang on to the Xbox 360 because you wait a little while and either the power supply or the 360 itself might be worth money because somebody will need it and it'll be very rare to find.
Huh.
I mean, we can try and hold on
What
to
happens
it,
with
but
old consoles?
yeah, it's been out in the garage that's not really weatherproofed.
Oh, well, I would check it. If it still works, then hang on to it. If it doesn't still work, then yeah.
Fair enough.
That'd be kind of fun to play some of the old 360 games.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That I used to have.
It's been quite a while.
All right. Well, how'd church go for you guys? Did you guys end up able to go?
Yeah, it was good. It was really good.
I still think at some point
I did camera work.
Camera work?
Yeah.
Did you Austin Powers it?
No.
That's funny.
So Frank broke today. I was security and usher, so I was in the back. But Frank broke out into a song today, and I had to laugh because it's an older country song. I don't know if you caught it, Shaunie.
Swinging.
Yeah, he started going swinging. And I leaned over to Brad. I'm like, that one might not be appropriate. I don't know if you guys know that one.
That's funny.
They were just sitting on the front porch on the swing, just a swinging. How's that inappropriate?
10-foot pool.
There was probably room for Jesus.
Always leave space.
Leave some room for Jesus.
How many trips did it take you guys to get back and forth with all your stuff?
Oh my gosh.
It was 3. It was 2 full and then one that was like maybe a fourth of the way full.
Oh, have mercy.
So.
Did it take a couple days?
Yeah. Yeah, we ended up bringing the last load up on Saturday night. We got here, or no, not Saturday night, Sunday night.
Okay.
We got here at 11:45, and it was just Chris and I unloading the last one. But thankfully, it wasn't a whole lot of stuff. It only took us an hour to unload it. And we got the truck back, and we were back home by like 2 a.m.
Oh, my gosh.
We were supposed to have the truck back by 9 a.m. on Sunday, which didn't happen. And their offices were closed, so I knew they weren't going to be renting it out to somebody.
Yeah.
So we just kept it the extra day, and then I emailed them and said, hey, we kept it for an extra day, so we paid for an extra day.
Oh.
So.
Kind of reminds me of
still.
Yeah. construction equipment, like there's a place in Grand Island, if you rent something out, you always rent it out on a Friday. Because then you can keep it the whole weekend and they don't charge you because they're not open Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Nice.
Somebody was telling us that about one of the hardware stores here in town. If you rent equipment on Friday, their equipment desk is not open on the weekend, so then you get it for the whole weekend for a one-day price.
Nice.
Anything.
But we got the truck for 3 days for 2 days cost because they gave it to us a day early because they were closed because of the holiday on Saturday.
Well, there you go.
So, yeah.
That helps out. Anything to save money, to be honest, especially in today's economy.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so let's move
Let's
into
go, Brandon.
Yeah. Let's move into Happy Crappies. Who wants to go first?
I forgot to think ahead about this.
You guys can't see it, but I've got my finger on my nose right now.
Oh.
Lies.
Nose goes.
He doesn't really have a finger on his nose. He's just saying that.
Well,
I do. For real.
Shaunie does.
I have video evidence.
I guess I can go first. Happy. I've spent the past few days out in God's country seeing the sun rise and go down and seeing all sorts of wildlife. And hold on, I had to sneeze.
Bless you.
That was adorable.
It's probably super loud over the mics. But yeah,
It was loud over here.
I'm sorry. Hopefully you guys didn't have headphones on or something. I blew your ears out.
No.
No.
Okay.
We're using a conference speaker, so.
That helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was out there in God's country, seeing the sun come up, sun go down. Well over 30 deer each day. Couldn't shoot at any of them except for this morning, and then I missed, and it was my fault.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw a flock of pheasants that scared the crap out of me as I was walking back to my truck. Actually, about a dozen pheasants. That's the most I've seen in the area in years and years.
I've never seen that many, and I've lived in this area my whole life, so.
Yeah, I was pretty excited. They were really pretty,
Yeah,
too.
I bet.
Although, I about crudted my pants and messed myself, so it was close. I didn't do that, though. But no,
You wouldn't admit it if you did.
maybe I would have, because it's a comedic factor there.
Oh, sure.
But so my crappy would be this morning. I had a window from about 7:30 to 8:30. 7:30 was started shooting hours. At 8:30, I needed to leave to make it to the church. And about 8 o'clock, I got a chance to shoot at one, and I shot low and just kicked snow up everywhere. And then it turned around and started running the other way, and I shot again, and I know I missed. Every time I shoot the second time, I miss. It's just how it is, for me anyway.
Yeah.
Which I think what I did is when you go to pull the trigger, you're supposed to kind of hold your breath or let it out and hold, and so you're not moving. And I think I took a breath right as I pulled the trigger, so it aimed my rifle down.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
We'll do it.
After we got home from church, I went outside and practiced a little bit on that one just to make sure it was me and not my rifle. And yes, it was me. So, lesson learned.
Yeah,
Yep.
So those are my happy crappy.
for sure.
Who's next?
I got it.
All right.
I'm happy that I actually have a day off that's actually a day off
Yay.
Yeah.
and not a day off to move.
Oh.
Yeah.
So true.
Did you get a little bit more sleep in?
Sure. When I've been averaging like 6 a day, any more than 6 is a win. So
Oh. I think that's about what I normally get. 6 hours or so.
gotcha.
But I've been doing that for years, so I'm used to it.
That's fair. Crappy is I'm still tired, but I guess that's the way it is.
I
Yeah.
feel
It's
like
going to take some time for you to recover.
Yeah. I feel like we need to play that song. That's just the way it is.
Well, I can go next.
Okay.
So my happy is that we are all moved to Omaha.
Woo-hoo.
And my crappy is, yeah, I'm very happy about that. Because no more driving back and forth, 2 to 3 times a week to get things done. But my crappy is that I don't have my paycheck yet set up yet for direct deposit, so I'm going to have to drive back for that at least once a week. But I'm okay. I'm okay with driving back and getting my paycheck until we get that set up for direct deposit. But I got my workstation here. I had to drive back this last week. I got my paycheck, and I ended up having to pick up a computer for a customer, which thank God they called me on the day that I was already going to Grand Island and not the day after. And then I got my workstation so I can get my workstation set up here, and got my paycheck. So
nice.
Good, but
Very
I'll be
nice.
glad when I get my direct deposit set up. So I don't have to drive for my paycheck.
Shaunie. It's your turn.
Wait, was that your happy and your crappy?
Did you have a crappy?
My crappy was I have to drive back for my paycheck.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's not super crappy. I mean, there are worse things, much worse things.
That's okay. Let's see. So happy. We got some really, really happy news this morning during church.
Yeah.
Our good friend that we've been praying for quite some time, whose water broke literally 1 month ago, just had their baby last night.
Still early, but everybody's doing great. So.
Yeah, so she was due
That's
March
awesome.
1st. So he's early, like 32 weeks. But doing good. He's healthy. 4 pounds, 10 ounces.
Yep, 4 pounds, 10 ounces,
17 and a half inches. And so I don't know how long they're going to have to stay with the NICU, but mom and baby are doing good. So and they were able to keep it in there and keep it cooking until it was safe enough to come out.
Keep it cooking. It's a turkey.
It is a turkey. Keep that bun in the oven.
Right.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
amazing news.
Yeah, so like Jake actually got the text this morning during service and he came and told me. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to cry.
It was like Pastor Frank was getting a little bit going up there and getting a little emotional. Then I got that. So I'm like, yep, got to go show the wife.
Yeah, so that was awesome. Trying to think of a crappy.
That I didn't bring home any meat.
That's your crappy. Maybe let's do on Friday night. No, okay, we'll do this one. Thursday. I had an appointment with the doctor scheduled at 9 a.m. and I completely forgot about it because it's just been a really weird week with like the no work on Monday and everything.
Yep.
So I was losing track of my days and everything. So Thursday I was supposed to have an appointment at 9 o'clock. I missed it. And then I called them and they were able to reschedule me for 4:30. So that was fine. But then like I had to leave work early and then I had to like make up 2 hours of work. So that was...
Oh, yeah. That is
like
crappy.
the having to make up work after hours that's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's never fun.
So that's my crappy.
No. Yeah, that's definitely not fun.
Sorry, I'm looking up something while she was talking. It's one of my questions. It's
That's okay.
oh my.
Oh my.
Did you guys hear that? That might be on the recording. Okay.
He got a notification pop up on the computer.
Oh, yeah. I didn't hear it.
Yeah, we didn't hear it.
Oh, that's good. Here we go.
Yeah, it might be on the recording, but we didn't hear it.
Okay, people talk.
We're
Shaunie,
waiting for
talk. You're reading something. You're reading what I'm doing. Somebody can go with the question while
That's
I
funny.
go ahead and look up and stuff.
We were waiting for you to talk.
I'm sorry.
Okay. I've got 2 random questions.
Perfect.
Sweet.
So, the first one is, do you eat or drink soup?
It depends on what's in
Debate.
it.
Yeah, is it chunky or just liquid?
Like if it's a broth, then I would drink it.
If it's a broth, you drink it.
Yeah.
But if it's like chunky soup, you eat it.
Yeah. Like chili. You can't drink
What
chili.
do you think, Chris?
You eat soup.
Do you eat soup, even if it's just a broth?
Yeah, it's still technically eating.
It's
No.
technically eating. Okay.
No.
I say you eat and drink soup.
Yeah.
Because if it's a thin broth, you usually eat the chunks and then you drink the broth.
Yeah.
Well, Chris doesn't. He just doesn't eat he doesn't drink the broth at all.
That's why you eat it.
I see.
That's one of those controversial takes, like his hot dog a sandwich.
Yeah.
Or a cereal a soup.
Yeah, or cereal is soup.
Well, yeah. Or the ocean is a soup.
Yeah.
I would say you drink soup.
I say both. So I say you eat it and you drink it.
Yeah, because it's tomato.
Unless if you're Chris, you eat it.
Yeah. If it's tomato soup, you're drinking it. If it's like Campbell's chicken noodle soup, you eat it.
If it's chili, you eat it.
Is ramen noodles soup?
To some people. If you leave enough water in there.
I think some people would call that blasphemy if you ask calling it a soup.
Noodle soup?
It's a cup of noodle.
Noodle soup?
Noodle soup.
I used to eat cup of noodles all the time.
And some people would say chili is not a soup, so
What is it then?
they would say chili is technically a stew. Yeah, a stew.
No. You call it chili soup, but you don't call it chili stew.
I've never called chili soup.
I've never called it soup, and I've never called it stew, but I've heard people debate this topic that chili is a stew, technically a stew, because it's usually thicker, and it's, got lots of meat in it, and yeah, so.
I think for me, chili
I would consider it a stew.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of its own thing.
I'm going to Google it.
Well, yeah.
Dr.
It is
Google.
its own thing. What does Dr. Google say?
Is chili a soup or stew?
She's using her phone. My phone's being a camera right now,
Yeah.
so I can't use it, which is dumb because I wanted to bring up something I texted Dalton, and my phone is there as a camera, so I didn't think about like copy and pasting. Oh, I sent it to you, Shaunie.
What?
What I sent to Dalton, I sent it to both of you, so you're gonna have to go back to my text messages. That Bible verse I sent you on either Thursday or Friday.
Oh gosh, that's a long time ago. Okay. Okay, so it says if chili is prepared by braising a meat, such as brisket or beef chuck, with beans and vegetables added toward the end of cooking time, it's considered a stew. But
What's the
if it's not braised meat, then soup.
So if you braise it before you put it in, it's a stew. If you don't braise it before putting it in, it's a soup.
That's what Food Network says.
Oh, that's it. It's Food Network.
So it can be a soup. It can be a soup or a stew, depending on how you prepare it.
I guess so. So we're both right. Yay.
Wouldn't that be gross
That's
just to
interesting.
put the meat in the hot soup stuff, though, and let it cook that way?
No.
I've never known anyone that does that. Everyone always makes it as a stew then. Or if you're making chili without meat and you're just putting vegetables in.
Yeah, hold the phone.
Then
Okay.
it's not really chili.
I know, right? It's just wrong at that point. It's like,
At that
vegetable
point,
soup.
it's a vegetable. It's a vegetable soup. Yeah, it's not chili. I don't care if you're using chili seasoning. That's not chili. Chili's got to have meat in it.
I agree wholeheartedly with that one.
Well, then I guess the way that we cook it would probably be a stew.
Yeah.
Because we cook the meat first and then put it in. I didn't know what braised meat was. Braising.
Like browning your meat.
Yeah. It's a fancy word for saying browning.
I'm going to find my message that I sent to you a while ago.
Oh.
As I try not to belch in the microphone.
Gross.
So I have one more random question.
Okay.
So which phone app do you use the most? So what app on your phone do you use the most? The way that question is worded is a little weird.
I feel like there is somewhere that you can go on your phone that's like a usage report that will actually tell you where you spend the most time.
Yeah.
But I don't remember where that's on an iPhone.
I think,
yeah, it's probably like screen time stuff, something like that.
Yeah, probably. I think for me it'd be a tie between like YouTube and maybe TikTok or Facebook Reels, to be honest.
I'd say it's probably YouTube Music or Spotify for me, I would think.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I have a tie. Like a 3-way tie, probably. So, messages. Because Jake texts a lot. I don't know if you've ever seen this side of him, but he really likes to text. He hates calling.
Yes.
Like, he'll only spend a lot of time on the phone with me.
For the most part.
But he texts a lot.
I do text a lot.
So I feel like I'm in my text messages a lot. And then I don't know, like I'll be doing something, like I'll go to look something up on Google or whatever, and then like, okay, I'm done with that, and then just automatically switch over to like Facebook. And I'm like, why am I even here? But that happens several times a day. So that's probably where I waste a lot of time.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine right now. And right now it says Maps is my most used thing, but that's because I've been driving back and forth.
See if it says that again in a week or two.
And plus it pops up every time I plug my phone into the car, even if I'm not actually actively using it.
Oh, fair.
So, let's see. Messages is a lot of my usage. So yeah, and this only records screen time. It doesn't actually record when my screen's off. So all my active time, like listening to music and stuff, doesn't count. So I think for me it would have to be my one of my music apps because I listen to music and podcasts on them.
That's fair.
I'll have to say Facebook.
That doesn't surprise me.
It shouldn't.
It's just like where I go to automatically to waste time. I'm like, why am I here again? And again, and again.
I feel like my third most used one would probably be Pokemon Go. To be honest.
Thanks.
Google or Pokemon Go. Like my top 5 is like YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Pokemon Go, and Google.
I also read like webtoon novels, like in the morning or at night.
They're comics.
Okay, comics. Webtoon comics.
Well, they are.
And I want to take a picture of my dog.
Because she's being uber adorable.
Maybe I should check. Maybe I should check the data on mine because maybe it is Pokemon Go or Facebook.
Yeah, you probably have it's like on Samsung phones, it's a health app that tells you what your screen time is.
Mm-hmm. There's got to be something on here too. Let's see.
Yeah, Shaunie's looking at her phone.
I don't have my screen time report turned on.
What?
So it says turn on screen time or set up later. So.
Well, it's just like you won't set up Siri.
But I remember getting notifications for that all the time when I had my Galaxy, like every day.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I get them once a week. It sends me. It's like you used your phone X number of hours less or more than you did last week.
Yeah. I remember.
But every time I drive, it counts me driving as using Google Maps, and it counts it as screen time, even if I'm not looking at the map or using it for directions, just because I plug it in and it turns on Android Auto.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's not fair. That doesn't count.
Yeah, so that's why I disregard the driving thing completely.
Well, and I kind of wonder if mine would do that too, because whenever I plug it into my car's charger, whatever, it turns on Apple CarPlay. So.
Yeah.
I would probably count that too.
Yeah, and then like my tablet shows a game that I play as the most used app. It's got 14 hours this week, but the thing is, when I play that, I just leave it running. It does like auto battle and stuff, and my screen's on technically, but it's like on power saver mode, so it counts as screen time, but I'm not actually even doing anything in the app. So.
Nice.
That wouldn't be accurate either.
Right.
All right, so.
But I would say it has to be a music app for me.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, mine's going to be that because we have Pandora that plays while we're sleeping now. So listen to a lot of Native American flutes at night.
Oh, that's fun.
I finally convinced him to get rid of the fan in our room, and he's like, well, I need something for noise. And I'm like, I don't care, just do it. I don't want the fan on me anymore.
Well, because if I don't have noise, my brain runs like 1,000 miles an hour, jumping from topic to topic to topic to topic. So I got to have something there for my brain to kind of focus on and just chill.
And then we kind of agreed on like the spirit flutes, the Native American music, and it was like, perfect, do that.
Yeah. Yeah, we put worship music on when we sleep. And it's funny because YouTube, like randomly, because we use YouTube music, it randomly will put in, instead of, for the Christian worship music, it doesn't do just Christian worship music. It'll randomly throw in like Hebrew worship music. So you'll wake up and it'll be playing a song that's in Hebrew.
Okay.
A lot of phlegm.
Yeah.
A lot of phlegm.
Some of the songs are really pretty, and some of them are actually like Christian worship songs, but they're in Hebrew.
Oh, sure.
It's weird because you wake up and you're like groggy, and you're like, well, this sounds familiar, but I can't understand anything that's being said. What's going on?
That is not English.
Yeah, that's not English. They're usually very pretty, though.
Yeah. I've heard a couple, and I'm like, oh, I like this. I don't know what you're saying, but I like it.
All right, so I found the stuff I sent to Dalton
and me
on Shaunie's phone and Shaunie, because I thought it was a cool thought. I just sent it to both people. I'm like, I probably could have sent it to you guys too, because I think it's pretty awesome. But I'll get your reaction from it. So the first thing I sent was a verse. It was from Mark chapter 1, and it's verse 34. And it's, so Jesus healed many people who were sick with various diseases. And he cast out many demons. But because the demons knew who he was, he did not allow them to speak. Sorry, I kind of went in my narrator voice there for a minute a little bit.
It's fine.
So the reason I'm in Mark is because that's the book we're in now on the bonus episodes for the Bible readings. And so this is what I texted to him after reading that. So I'm reading, and texted Shaunie. So I'm reading in Mark, and this jumped out at me. A big argument from other religions that I hear on TikTok and YouTube, especially from Islam, is that there is no evidence that Jesus is God and he did not exist before he was born. Going off this one verse, you can disprove that argument. Only God has authority over angels, and since demons are fallen angels, they had to listen to Jesus. Also, it states the demons knew who he was. He did not allow them to speak, which I think is epic. So they knew who he was. right? They knew him before he was man.
Right.
So I think that one verse there disproves that argument majorly, but you see it all over the place. Well, there's no way that Jesus existed before. They'll bring up John and it'll say, the Word was with God, the Word was God, and all that stuff. But I don't know. What's your guys' reaction?
I agree with you. Some people will still argue just because they don't believe, and they can, But yeah, I agree. God is the only one that has dominion over the angels. So 100%.
Yep.
I like that take. It's different than what I've heard before for evidence for that.
Yeah, because I was just sitting there reading it, and that I got to that verse, and it just jumped out at me. It's like, holy crap! This right here disproves that argument that I keep seeing pop up everywhere. This is saying that demons knew him, and then they have to listen to him because he is God.
Right.
Right.
That, and you go to the Muslim culture and stuff, they call Jesus a prophet, and then he would cast out demons. So it's like, okay, so you guys are arguing against yourselves anyway, because the only one that has authority over demons is God himself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, and the way that the disciples were able to cast out demons was through the Holy Spirit, which is God himself.
Yeah.
So
it's the Spirit. It's the Spirit of God.
Yep.
Which leads me into one of my questions. What are some questions or arguments you hear or have heard against Christianity? Bum bum bum.
Gosh, I know there are so many, but right now I can't think of any off the top of my head that I've heard recently. Goodness. Do you have some specific ones that you want to bring up besides the one you just mentioned?
I could think of one more right off the top of my head. And it's that, well, Jesus never says that he is God. And Frank talked about this one today, where they were talking, they were trying to have an argument with Jesus, the Pharisees and Sadducees were. And they were talking about how they're children of Abraham and stuff. And Jesus goes, well, before Abraham, I am. Which that's a huge thing. Because to the Hebrews, they knew exactly what Jesus meant. Because Yahweh translated is I am. So Jesus is claiming right then and there that he is God.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
The big deal with that is you wouldn't just go claiming that, because then you're going to be put to death, because that's exactly what happened. They went to stone him, they went to crucify him, and that would happen to anybody, so nobody would just say they are God.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. Right. Anyone that was raised under the Jewish faith would not do that. Because they would know what the consequences of that would be.
Oh yeah, because they were taught the Old Testament. To them it's not the Old Testament to them, but it is to us. But they knew exactly what would happen. It kind of goes back to what I don't know if you guys have ever seen Parks and Recreation, but there's an episode where it's like a South American country or something. Some representatives from it show up to this city or whatever village that they're in. And they're talking about the different laws, and they're like, play music too loud, straight to jail. Walk too slow, straight to jail. Drive too fast, straight to jail. And it's like that scene always reminds me of the Old Testament. That's exactly what it would have been. Like anything that they did wrong, they knew they could be put to death for. And claiming you are God is the biggest blasphemy that they knew.
Yeah.
And no one would do that unless A, they were a lunatic, or it was true.
Yeah. Yep. Have you read The Case for Christ by Lee Strobel?
No, but I want to. It keeps popping up. People keep referring to it. Like, gosh, what's his name? He's a psychologist, professor type person from Canada, and now he's like in the U.S. or something. But he's all over the place. He's talked about that, and so have a bunch of other people that are popping up on my TikToks, and I really want to read it.
So that book, Lee Strobel was an atheist. His wife was not saved, but she wasn't an atheist. She started going to church, and then she got saved. He was an investigative reporter, and I think he was an investigative reporter, and I think he had some law background too, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong. I'd have to look up his profile to be precise. But she started going to church. She got saved. Then she came back home, and then she started changing, and he didn't like it because he wasn't saved. And so the way he wrote that book was he set out to prove to her that Christ didn't exist through the facts. And then he found out the facts point to the fact that Jesus is real. And then he got saved.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you start. Go ahead.
I'll say that book is really cool. I've read it, but I don't remember all of the details because it's been 15 to 20 years, I think, since I've read it. He also wrote The Case for Christmas and several other books along those lines. I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, I think
he wrote that book aimed at telling atheists. That was basically what he learned in his research to disprove that Jesus is real.
Huh. Yeah, I think in the last, I did an episode where I just talked about the Christmas story. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. I kind of made a little bit of a case for that of Jesus being born in December when I found out that when you read the Bible, it says he was conceived in the 6th month is what it describes, that Jesus was conceived in the 6th month. And a lot of people argue that, no, he wasn't born in December. He was born in March or April. Hey, I just found another argument here. That he was born in March or April because they say that, which, that would have been June for us. And I'm like, yeah, I got to thinking, well, we use the Gregorian calendar, and that's not the calendar they used back then. They used the Hebrew calendar. So what is the 6th month on the Hebrew calendar? And I found out, well, the 6th month on the Hebrew calendar is called Adar. And for us, that is the month of March. So 9 months later, guess what month that is? That's December. So yeah, he would have been born in December. And I got to think, and I'm like, well, what would be a big significance on that? Well, the pagans, they always celebrate the winter solstice, and that's in December. So we don't know the exact date, day when Jesus was born, but you can figure out that he was born in December. And I think that's a big deal there, because then you take the pagans celebrating the winter solstice. Jesus is born in that same month, so it kind of starts replacing that, especially since the wise men, or that were called, or the magi, they were pagans, and they didn't believe in the Hebrew God, yet somehow God talked to them through what they believed, and they figured out that the Messiah was born by God talking through what they believed, which they studied the stars. They were astronomers, and yeah, I think it's amazing that God talked to them that way. So it's like Jesus is born during like the pagan time, like a pagan time of, I don't know what I want to say here, worship or celebration. And then at the same time, God used the pagan stuff to bring the pagan Gentiles back to him. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Shaunie's dog is feeling left out because now she's walking over here and trying to get attention.
That's funny.
And now she just
One of our
jumped on
cats
the couch.
was doing that just a minute ago.
Yeah.
She was meowing. I don't think the microphone picked her up, but she was walking around. She was meowing.
I think you can hear my dog breathing.
Yeah. I can anyway. I don't know if they can. I don't know. You guys got anything else on that argument deal? On arguments against Christians?
I know there's tons of them.
Oh yeah. I just know that, like, personally, I'm trying to study more. Like, as I'm doing these readings, I'm trying to study it at the same time, and I feel like I'm getting a lot more out of it, which is, I don't know. I've been through it a few times, but I don't know. Stuff is jumping out to me that hasn't jumped out before, and it seems to be rebuttaling what I'm seeing online currently.
So it's like feeding itself to you so that you can answer the naysayers.
Yeah, and it's being God's given me the information I need.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's part of the reason why it's so important to be in the scriptures regularly, because we can't answer people's questions and we can't rebuke things that are incorrect if we don't have the information because we haven't been reading our Bible. And also, God can't speak to us through His Word if we're not reading it. So it's so important.
I just thought of another one. There's one that deals with Genesis, the creation, where it talks about the first 7 days. He did this, 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 and this. Well, then it says, I think that's in chapter 1, and in chapter 2, all of a sudden he's doing it again. But I think something like flip flops. And I was listening to a guy that was studying this, and he was asked this question a while ago, like years and years ago, and he didn't have an answer for the guy. He's like, okay, so chapter 1 and chapter 2 are contradicting themselves right there. And he's like, and he finally had an answer, and he wishes he could figure out where that guy was so he could give it to him. And the first part, it's the creation of the world, the universe, all that stuff. That's what's happening right there. And the second part, I guess, it's occurring in Eden, in the Garden of Eden. And God's doing all this stuff in Eden, creating Eden. And then it talks about where he's creating the fish and the animals and all that for Adam to name. So his studies showed that God created one of every animal, bird, fish that already exists for Adam to name. Because that was one of the big arguments. Like, well, he'd already created all these things. Why is he creating them again in this chapter? And I never, kind of realized that. I've read them both. I've never kind of realized that. And I never thought of it that way, that they were all being created again in Eden for Adam to name.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because Adam was made in Eden. So it's like, oh, well,
yeah,
that makes a lot more sense. And it's like, I'm kind of glad I have that information now.
Yeah.
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 So if that's brought up to me at some point, I'd be like, oh, well, you see here. First off, let me pull up the Bible, and then we're going to go through this together. Yeah, so I don't know.
I had never really thought about the fact that why God would create the animals and put them in a place for Adam to name them. That's kind of interesting. Again, you bring up things that I don't even think about a lot.
It's because he loves to research.
I do. I like to research and listen to things. I'll go one more question, and then we're gonna have to start wrapping up. I know we kind of touched on this a long time ago, or Dalton and I did, one of the two. Do angels have free will?
I think they have to.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't have disobeyed God if they didn't have free will.
Yeah.
Okay, then here's a follow-up question to that, just for everybody to think about. If they have free will, why don't they disobey him now?
They choose not to?
I think that they have a limited free will. I don't think they have true free will.
Explain.
I was just going to say. Explain.
I don't, without looking up the scriptures and knowing exactly, one of the reasons that, I got to remember how to word this. I think that angels have free will enough that they can make, like, the choice to disobey God, but I don't think they can do just exactly whatever they want, like we can as humans. That's one of the differences between us and them in that aspect.
Okay. Well, I think that angels have complete free will, but God restricts them from doing certain things because He can stop them from doing things.
That's true.
I don't think that He restricts their free will, because if angels didn't have free will, I don't think that some of the angels would have chosen to follow Lucifer when he was cast out of heaven. I think they have to have free will, and the fact that they don't disobey God now, I would say, has to do with the fact that most of them, the ones that are still in heaven, they actually want to obey God. And the ones that are here, when they know what is going to be their punishment, when they disobey God, because He can destroy them in a snap of His fingers. So, I think there's still a fear and reverence for God, even though they have disobeyed Him. But biblically, I don't know. I really don't know what the Bible says about free will and angels. That's something I would have to look into. But I would think they have to.
Yeah.
I mean, because it doesn't make sense that God would create them to disobey Him. That doesn't fit with God's character.
Right. Otherwise, like, why would you have those that got cast out, like Lucifer? Like, he had to have the free will to do what he did to be cast out and to continue what he does today. And then you've got the Nephilim and those kinds of consequences of angels' free will.
And it's like the angels, of course, they know exactly what would happen to them from betraying God. Because you can go look that up in the story of the man that was possessed by Legion. You know, all those demons. He begged Jesus not to just cast him out because he knew where he was going to go and said, "Cast me into the pigs," or they. Legion is a they, them. So it cast us into the pigs, not into the fire. So they knew exactly where they were going to go, and they're more scared of that. They're begging God right there, "Please don't send us there." So you got to ascertain that all the other angels know exactly what's going to happen to them if they go against God again.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny you bring up the Nephilim because we're going to have a talk about them at some point because there's descendants of the giants that are talked about in the Old Testament that I think are interesting.
What, like Goliath?
Well, you got Goliath, but there's others named too.
Okay.
Where they talk about the spear size and all that.
Oh, yeah. You brought this up at home the other day.
Yeah, that'll be another day, though, because I feel like that's going to be a long topic.
Yeah.
But
that's one that I definitely want to... Any topic like that, I definitely want to do my research and look at the scriptures, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You talking about Agrid?
I think
Agrid. That's funny.
That sounds familiar.
That's funny.
Hagrid from Harry Potter?
Yes. Shaunie's like, yes, Jake, you should know this.
Like, yes, it should be familiar.
Shaunie's a Potterhead.
Funny.
Or, in short, a pothead.
Excuse me?
Excuse me? That's my...
Hey, Jake.
Yo.
One of them smells better.
Potterheads.
Oh, yeah, Potterhead. I was so lost that went way over my head, you don't even know.
Two very, very, very different things, and you don't have to be exclusive to either.
Why'd you go Irish?
You know what?
Okay, so back on topic. So, in my opinion, angels have to have free will because they wouldn't have been able to go against God in that manner. But I think they're definitely smarter than us humans are.
To an extent.
Well, they know the consequence of going against God and choose to not go against God. The ones that are still there, the ones that are here on earth, they're screwed right now. They know what's going to happen to them in the end. And there's multiple times in the Bible you figure out that they know what's going to happen to them. And then humans, what do? We know what's going to happen to us, but yet we still go against God all the time. Even people that say they're atheists, they know they've been taught somehow or another what's going to happen if you're not a follower of Christ and you believe in Him wholeheartedly and admit that He is the Messiah. You still know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Even if you deny it, you know. So in that aspect, go ahead.
On some visceral level, they definitely know. Some primal level, but they deny it, like you said. I mean, all of us have an innate knowing that we need God and a hole for God, a hole in our heart for God. But until you're saved, you don't realize how true that is, you know?
Yeah. For sure. It's like you always know in your soul. I mean, there's something brought up about atheists. It's like in a time of extreme, I don't know, disaster or something, what do they always do? They start praying. Or people that don't believe in God also, those start praying. Like, God, whoever they're praying. It's your soul knows.
Mm-hmm.
I will make that argument to anybody. Your soul knows, even if your brain is stupid and denies it.
Yeah, your soul will cry out in a time of intense need, and whether you know who you're talking to or not.
Yeah.
You say, please. Anybody.
Absolutely.
I mean, heck, even the Native Americans, they knew of a creator. They know of the creator.
Right.
Of course.
I mean, you look at the Cherokee religion, they called him, what was it? Yashu Yah or something like that. And they had 7 days, and the seventh day was the Sabbath for them. Basically, a day of rest is what they called it. They believed in a lot of the same stuff we do, but they didn't. They were oceans apart from, I guess, your European or Arabic cultures. So there was no influence by the Jewish people on that. But they knew of the creator.
Well before anybody from that side of the world had
Which
contact.
Which is another argument. They're like, oh, well, the Christianity is a white man religion because it was brought by the Europeans. So it's like, well, Christianity started in the Arab region and North Africa. That's not really a white person area. So, and then they're like, well, they brought it here to North America, and that's why the natives are able to, why they follow Christianity. It's like, well, no, their old religions that they followed, their culture melds right in with it because it's pretty well the same darn thing in their beliefs and their core beliefs.
At least with the Cherokee. Not necessarily all of the tribes, but...
Well, you get the Athabascan culture. As we're watching Life Below Zero, he's talking about the creator.
Yeah.
And how he provides.
Yes. Well, I don't know nearly enough about all of the different religions and cultures and tribes. Like, there's so many to say one way or the other, but
well, it's like
it is interesting, some of the parallels.
Yeah, it's like I delved into the Cherokee deal, and they have a creation story. They have a story about the flood. They have the father of them that they talk about that everybody came from. Translated to English, the name that they use, I can't pronounce it, but translated, it's Abraham. And they have a Moses character in his family. It's like, okay, the Chinese do the same thing. They have a Moses character. They talk about Abraham. They talk about the Great Flood. It's like, why are all these cultures from all over the world saying the same thing if God does not exist?
Yeah. Yeah, there are too many parallels.
Exactly. I'm interested in what people that are listening, what they're thinking about this. And hopefully that's going to put some seeds in where they go and start researching on their own and become like me and start falling into that rabbit hole and go further and further and further in. Alice in Wonderland, here I come.
Right.
I kind of want to research the Athabascan culture now because...
Since you brought it up.
Yeah.
Might as well.
It's just when I was watching, how, what's his name, Shaunie?
Rico DeWild.
Yeah, Rico DeWild, how he talks about everything. It's like, okay, that correlates with a lot of what I know, how I do stuff. Like when they take an animal, they say Anabasi, and that's them praising the creator and thanking the creator for providing them that animal. And I do the same thing when I take an animal for harvest for our own meat. I thank God and I pray over the critter, and there's a lot of parallels, and it's a soul thing at that point, I think, and our soul exists.
Yeah. Right. Well, and your soul cries out for God.
Yeah.
So
I mean, heck,
it makes sense. It makes sense that different religions would have some similar traditions because God created us to worship Him. So if you're going to worship something and you are going to have those experiences, no matter what religion you choose, there are going to be some parallels because it's how God created us to be. So it makes sense that different religions would have similarities.
I just thought of another similarity that I think is awesome. Everybody says that Christianity is the only one that believes in a 3-in-1. You know, God, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Cherokee believed in the same thing. They believed in a 3-in-1. They said it was the Father, the Spirit, and the Son. And they believed the Son would come to Earth.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
I know. I've done a lot of research. I'm sorry. I should have sent you guys stuff on the Discord because, like, I'll research all this, but then I start moving on to the next thing and the next thing and next thing, and I forget to send stuff out to people. But
sharing is caring, Jacob.
I know. I know. But it's like a lot of their history, it's told. It's vocal history. And I was reading a deal from people from like the 50s or 60s. They were talking to the Cherokee ancestors, and they were telling all the stories of their old religions, their culture, and all that. And it was just lining up so much of what like the Old Testament says. And then like there's stuff that they were talking about that pops up in the New Testament. Oh, Molly must be moving. Sorry, I can hear her claws behind us. Our dog is behind the couch, so that's where she likes to lay.
The one that's not on the couch.
Yes. Our chunkers. She's our fluffy puppy.
The other one is in front of us somewhere.
Yeah, Guinevere, the one you guys met, she's asleep in front of the fish tank.
Mm-hmm. Hey, so now we've had 2 of our dogs on the podcast.
Yep.
At least on the video.
All right, we are about at an hour. So what are some people's final thoughts for this episode? I know I feel like we can keep talking at this point, but I have to get going. Unless you guys just want to hang out and talk with Shaunie.
I'm just a guest host.
I think it's okay to wrap it up here and do a little bit of a shorter podcast this time.
Agreed.
But I honestly, I think my final thoughts would be that there is so much more for us to discover and to dive into in the Bible. And I'm excited to continue doing this podcast and to continue learning more things and discovering more things about God, because there's just so much. There's so much there. So it's just exciting for me.
Oh yeah.
To be able to have these conversations.
Yeah.
True.
All right. Anyone else got some final thoughts before we close out?
No, that was good.
That was good?
That was real good. Thank you, Stacy.
Oh, apparently we were called a cult on TikTok, by the way, but whatever.
We are?
Yeah, somebody commented cult.
Toxin Crocs is a cult.
Well,
I think they were talking about Christianity, but whatever.
Oh, that.
I have a final thought. Something that's been kind of bothering me is I feel like some people might think we're bashing Catholics for a little bit there. I don't think we were. We just didn't know much about them. I want to put out there. I want to put out there and say that I still think that people found Christ through Catholicism, and somebody pointed out that Catholics are still Christian because their top thing is Jesus, and that's
right. Yeah.
So I understand that. I think I understood that before. I just want to put out there that I'm not bashing Catholics. I don't understand them.
Right. There's a lot of things with that specific religion, that some aspects of it that we don't necessarily agree with, but we're not hating on them.
I agree with Shaunie, and I don't have anything against Catholics. I have family members that are Catholic. I don't understand some of the beliefs in the Catholic faith, and I even listen to a couple of Catholic podcasters, and I adore them. But there are some things I definitely disagree with in the Catholic faith, but that goes for other Christian denominations too. Like Southern Baptists are completely against women in leadership, and I do not think that is as God intended it. I do believe that God has intended men to lead women, but I also believe that women can be in leadership too, because there are several women in the Bible that have been put in leadership roles. So I think that
like Deborah,
that
judges.
belief that women can't lead is completely wrong. But I can be wrong about any of these things.
Well, I think Deborah
And
from the Judges book really backs you up on that one. So being a judge in Israel.
Right. But what I'm saying is, what we're trying to do in this podcast is we're trying to understand these things, and we're trying to talk about them so that other people can think about it and look at the scriptures themselves and find the right answer. Because we could be wrong on some of these things, and that's okay. We're not saying that our words are 100%, perfect.
Yep.
There are certain things that I believe and that I know are accurate, but if you are seeking, then it's really good to have these conversations so that you can find the answers. And some of them aren't salvation issues, and we've talked about things that aren't salvation issues, and it's not really that important that we get that 100% correct, because I don't think that God's going to punish you because you misunderstood something. He's going to punish you based on the things that you know. So, yeah. and that was something in the hell, that when we had the conversation about hell, that if you don't know, your punishment is less than if you know and you intentionally disobey. So there's that.
Yeah.
But
all right.
At any rate.
All right, Chris, you want to lead us out in a prayer?
I would love to.
Sweet.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the blessings that you give us, and we thank you for the strength that you give us in your holy and amazing name. Amen.
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 All right. Well, if that's it, thanks everybody for listening and or watching, and both, because if you're watching, you're listening too. We are on the YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, Audible, all over the darn place. all the things. We're on all the things. So give us a like, a subscribe. Shoot me an email at toxincrocs@gmail.com with your comments. And if you want to be on here, we could certainly do that. We could have more than one person on the call-in feature. Google Voice allows us to do that. All right. We love you guys, and we'll talk to you later. We are out. Bye.
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 Bye.